They thought adoption would be their greatest act of love, bringing home a paralyzed baby who needed a family. But fate had other plans. Their playful puppy, innocent and full of energy, did something so extraordinary that it stunned everyone and turned their home into a place of miracles. For years, Emma and Daniel had dreamed of becoming parents. Their cozy little house echoed with warmth and laughter, yet it always felt incomplete, a missing piece in their lives they longed to fill. After several failed attempts to conceive, they turned their hearts toward adoption, believing love alone defined a family. One chilly afternoon, they visited a local orphanage. Among the rows of children, their eyes were drawn to a tiny boy lying quietly in a crib. His legs, motionless beneath a thin blanket, told a story of struggle. The caretaker explained gently, he was born paralyzed. Most families, they pass him by. But Emma and Daniel didn't see his weakness. They saw his wide, searching eyes, filled with silent hope. In that instant, something powerful sparked within them. They knew this was their child. His challenges didn't frighten them. They only deepened their resolve. That day, love found its home. When the adoption was finalized, Emma and Daniel brought their son home with trembling hands and hearts overflowing. They decorated his room with soft blue blankets, stuffed animals, and stars on the ceiling that glowed gently at night. Though he couldn't run or crawl like other children, they wanted him to feel surrounded by comfort, safety, and unconditional love. The days that followed were not easy. His medical needs required constant care, physical therapy sessions, careful feeding schedules, and sleepless nights filled with worry. Sometimes, Emma sat quietly in the nursery, holding him close as tears rolled down her cheeks. Daniel would place a reassuring hand on her shoulder, whispering, "We're in this together." And together, they pressed on. Every tiny smile, every coo, every moment of connection reminded them why they had chosen him. Their home, once filled with silence, now carried the soft music of life. Love didn't erase the challenges, but it gave them the strength to face each day. Life slowly found rhythm in the couple's home, but Daniel noticed the heavy weight on Emma's shoulders. She gave her entire soul to caring for their baby, yet often forgot to care for herself. One evening, as they walked past a small rescue shelter, fate introduced them to another soul in need, a fluffy, wide-eyed puppy with ears too big for his head and a tail that wagged furiously at every passerby. The shelter worker explained he had been abandoned, too young to be left alone. Emma bent down, and instantly the pup scrambled into her lap, nuzzling his nose against her hand. Daniel saw the light return to her eyes, the first real smile in weeks. They hesitated. Could they manage both, a paralyzed baby and a rambunctious pup? The thought seemed overwhelming. Yet, something about the way the puppy leaned against them, as though he already belonged, convinced them otherwise. When they brought him home, the house felt different, more alive. The puppy's playful energy filled every corner, yet when he first met the baby, he didn't bark or jump. Instead, he tilted his head curiously, sat quietly, and watched over him with surprising gentleness. The tea first, the new routine seemed manageable. The baby slept peacefully while the puppy chased after toys, his paws skidding clumsily across the hardwood floor. But soon, the challenges began to pile up. The baby's fragile condition demanded constant attention, doctor visits, therapies, and sleepless nights that left Emma and Daniel drained. Meanwhile, the puppy's boundless energy knew no limits. There were close calls. Once, as Emma changed the baby, the puppy bounded onto the couch, nearly knocking over a bottle of medicine. Another time, he barked so loudly it startled the baby into tears. Daniel worried aloud. What if he's too much for us? What if he hurts him by accident? Emma tried to stay hopeful, but doubt crept in. She feared they had taken on more than they could handle, caring for two little lives that demanded so much. Tension filled the air, turning laughter into sighs and joy into worry. Yet, in the midst of chaos, there were glimpses of something unexpected, the puppy curling near the crib, ears twitching at every sound, or lying still whenever the baby stirred. Perhaps, beneath all that energy, he understood more than they realized. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, the couple began to notice a change. The puppy, once wild and reckless, seemed to sense the fragility of the little boy. Instead of bouncing around his crib, he would curl up quietly beside it, his head resting on his paws, eyes watchful and steady whenever the baby cried. The puppy was the first to respond, his ears perked, his nose pressed against the crib's edge, whining softly as if calling Emma or Daniel for help. At night, when silence wrapped the house, the couple often found the puppy stationed like a tiny guardian at the nursery door. Refusing to leave his post point one afternoon, Emma placed the baby on a blanket in the living room. To her surprise, the puppy padded over and lay down beside him, gently nudging a toy closer with his nose. The baby's little hand reached out, brushing the puppy's fur. In that tender moment, something unexplainable happened. An unspoken bond sparked between them. Emma's eyes filled with tears. What she had feared might be dangerous was slowly becoming the most beautiful friendship she had ever witnessed. One quiet morning, sunlight streamed through the curtains as Emma placed her baby on a soft mat for his daily exercises. He struggled to sit upright, his tiny arms flailing as he tried to push himself up. Emma watched with aching eyes, whispering encouragement, but the effort was too much. His body wobbled, and he toppled sideways with a soft cry. Before Emma could reach out, the puppy moved. With surprising gentleness, he slid his small body next to the baby, pressing firmly against him. Using the puppy's warmth as support, the baby leaned upright again, his back steadied by his furry friend. Emma froze, her hand halfway in the air, as tears welled in her eyes. Daniel walked in just then, stunned to see the scene before him. Their son, paralyzed since birth, was sitting taller than ever before, all because the puppy had chosen to be his strength. The baby's hand reached out, gripping the puppy's ear, while the pup wagged his tail furiously, as if proud of what he had done. It wasn't an accident. It was deliberate, instinctive, and extraordinary. Emma whispered, her voice breaking. "Did you see that? He's helping him." From that day forward, the puppy became more than a companion. He became a teacher. Whenever the baby lay on the mat, the pup would nudge toys closer, encouraging him to reach out. If the baby struggled, the puppy pressed against him, offering his body as steady support. What doctors said might take months suddenly began happening in weeks. Emma and Daniel watched in awe as their son attempted movements they never thought possible. His tiny hands clutched at the puppy's fur, pulling himself forward bit by bit. Each inch was a triumph, each smile a victory. The pup wagged his tail endlessly, celebrating every small achievement as though it were his OWNIT night. Instead of crying, the baby often giggled as the puppy curled beside him, keeping him warm and secure. The bond between them grew unbreakable, two innocents who had found strength in each other's company. Neighbors and therapists were stunned at the baby's progress, but Emma and Daniel knew the truth. It wasn't just therapy. It was love, pure, unselfish, and loyal. The puppy had given their son more than comfort. He had given him hope. Months passed, and the changes were undeniable. The baby who once lay motionless now sat upright for longer stretches, his laughter filling every corner of the house. His little hands grew stronger, his eyes brighter. And beside him always was the faithful puppy, tail wagging, eyes shining with pride. Emma often whispered, "You gave him wings," as she stroked the puppy's fur. Daniel, once filled with worry, now carried a heart brimming with gratitude. They realized they hadn't just adopted a paralyzed child. They had built a family where love overcame every barrier. Friends and neighbors marveled at the bond, some calling it a miracle. But for Emma and Daniel, it was something even deeper, proof that miracles come in many forms. Sometimes they arrive swaddled in blankets. Other times, they arrive on four tiny paws, reminding us that love itself can heal.